value your voice and perspectives. We are passionate about building a social media community that's inclusive, engaging, and meaningful. Every thought, every post, every perspective counts. And this is why you should not miss Posts and Perspectives every weekday on Soup News Television. You can join the conversation by following us on our social media platforms at Soup News TV. Together, we can build a vibrant online community. Do not be left out. Hi, we are here again on Posts and Perspectives. I know you have been looking forward to this segment, and here I am. My name is Evelyn Ohiole, and I do not get to do this segment alone. I have to engage, of course, the three musketeers, and they have been doing a fabulous and fantastic job on front burners this morning. How are you all doing?
Hello, Evelyn.
Okay, I like the way you called. Hello. It's given some vibe. I don't want to mention it's so blessed.
But I know the vibe because
what's the vibe?
Two days ago they went to a meeting as well. That has changed the configuration of.
Okay, after the show we are going to have our own meeting.
All right.
It seems this bond you have with the NLC. You get bond. They say, don't put me in trouble. All right, people, if this is your first time of watching Posts and Perspectives, this is where we feel your polls, people's polls generally on social media, what they are saying about the different topics of discuss. And it's a way to also know what people out there think of, situations, policies, regulations, and laws that have been passed here in our country and, of course, outside the country. Let's get on with it, shall we? My very first story this morning, President Tinubu signs bill creating the North Central Development Commission, NCDC. We have the Niger Delta Development Commission, NCDC, and now we are having the NCDC. Let's see what people have to say on social media. Joe X says, NCDC was funded with resources from the Niger Delta. I hope the states in the North Central can pull resources to fund this commission. And Chris Digital says, pump the funds there and they have no choice but to vote for him again in 2027. We all know the script. And Rafini says, creating additional commissions and will rely on foreign loans to finance salaries. Instead, focusing on industrial development, there is substantial numbers of commissions. Focus on strategic approach to prioritize industrialization to create employment for the nation's workforce. Priya, what do you think, especially with what Joe X said, that NCDC has been funded by the money coming out from the Niger Delta, that he hopes that this NCDC will be funded by money coming out from the North Central?
Well, I think that's a good thought for it to be in the minds of those who will be managing that. However, it will be termed as a federal agency. It's a federal commission. So the federal government will need to fund it, and irrespective of where the money is coming from. Because there's this accusation against the Niger Delta, the Ministry of Niger Delta, then the NCDC, the Niger Delta Development Commission. And they felt there are two federal commissions or agencies there assigned to take care of some of the irregularities there in the Niger Delta. So they felt, hey, let other 5 geopolitical zones to have one for each, and we have it now. So now it depends on effective and efficient use of that funding for the purpose for which it was developed.
Okay, before I move to my next story, let me go over to Doc. Now, what happens to the Orosai report? Because some people believe that we should be scrapping agencies, scrapping commissions, and not creating new ones. And you remember there was a time that all of these commissions is supposed to function under one particular ministry, under one ministry. Now, a lot of people believe that this will take out more funds from the government because they have to have staff members under this particular agency. There have to be funds to take care of situations in this agency. So what really happens to your Orosai report, recommendations rather? Are we not supposed to be tightening our belt instead of creating more commissions that will take up more funds?
Well, speaking to the Orosai report, I had the privileged information speaking with the DG on the Bureau for Public Service Reform once, and he said it will be quite expensive to implement, and of course this regime has actually made effort to implement that report, but unfortunately what happened was that the cost implication for implementation is actually very humongous, putting it mildly at between 2 to 3 trillion naira to implement, merging agencies, having to also pay off some people who have worked, leveling up a lot of things. And so the time that World Bank would have sponsored, we were not ready, but now that we are ready, World Bank is not ready to sponsor. So that was on the Orosai report. But talking about whether the Middle Belt is able to actually fund the agency, I think there's a whole lot of capacity if federal government do what is needful. There's so much solid mineral in Plateau, so much mineral in Taraba, so much mineral in Nasarawa State. And if all these are explored and used for the good of the people, it should be able to actually generate the revenue. And I think that was what Adams Oshomole was speaking to, that the same energy that federal government uses in terms of setting up GTF to look at the Niger Delta, should put same energy in looking at other regions that also have minerals that is entering into the pocket of individuals. So once those minerals start to enter, the value start to enter into the coffers of government, I think they will be able to fund the agencies or commissions.
All right, thank you so much, Doc. Let's move on to our next story now. This one is on the Senate warning the IGP, NNPCL, FIRS over ignoring invitations. This is not the first time such a situation will happen where officers of different ministries or agencies are invited by the Senate or the House of Representatives, and they do not honor such invitations. Okbayemi Adewale on our YouTube page has this to say: non-appearance at the NAS has become a norm which should not be tolerated. And Delight Ozamanze says, it's funny how these people can hurriedly accept the appointment at Senate, but to go there for audit is an issue. It is well, and I really subscribe to what Delight, has to say. Anytime they go for the Senate to defend or for appearance, they tell you take a bow and leave there. Like they are all shining their teeth and all, but come and let us talk together. The Bible says, come, let's reason together. They don't want to reason. Let's move on. Spike Media TV says, you accept appointments but refuse to be accountable to the one who employed you. What kind of arrogance is that? Until there is a penalty for erring officials, this practice will continue. Doc, what do you think?
Well, some people don't want to enter one chance vehicle.
What do you mean by one chance? Please break it down. Elaborate, please. Expatiate.
It's you have to be very careful so that you don't get into a one chance vehicle. They see them all over Lagos here, and the people enter, and the rest is history. And I think this is a problem that we actually have to deal with in public service, where people who lead governments, whether at the National Assembly, the judiciary, or the executive, people must put the national interest at the primary than personal interest. And I think some of them are afraid to cite their death warrants.
Okay, Doctor is speaking in parables this morning. Well, what this particular post says that until there's a penalty for erring officers, this practice will continue.
Well, the Senate must take the bull by the horn. If they are refusing to appear, I see the chairman of the Senate committee said we are going to take this up with President Bola Tinubu. You don't do that. They did it the first time, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh. This is the eighth, and if not more.
Don't you think it's because President Bola Tinubu is their boss? Because he recommended.
He's their boss, but they are not giving. The National Assembly is not responsible to the executive arm of government. It is the National Assembly is not below. Neither is it subservient to the executive arm of government.
I agree.
They should issue that because he refuses to appear, we are not going to approve the budget that is meant for the police force. We are not going to approve the budget that is meant for the FIRS. We are not going to do this. And even though the monies and the wealth is in the custody of the executive arm of government, if they are not approved, then you keep it. And I don't think Mr. President will want that. So if Mr. President is interested himself about it, I'm sure he watches the news, he is aware that his cabinet members are refusing to appear before the National Assembly. Call them to order. You don't need the chairman of the Senate committee to start raising alarm, first of all. If you can't do that, let the chief of staff, Mr. Gbajabiamila, do that. Call them to order.
Okay. Priya says they should be called to order, and I agree with him. Let's move on to the next story this morning. OPEC says Trump price slash won't move Nigeria. And Gladys Godwin says Nigeria failed to meet its OPEC quota throughout 2022 and 2023 and struggled to meet its reduced quota of 1.5 million barrels per day in 2024. Hashtag front burner. Patrick Durejai says the solution of the PMS issues in Nigeria can only find life when politics is no longer affects logical decisions. And Governor says Trump has to start negotiating, not slamming tariffs. America is not an island. They need other nations as much as other nations need them. You know, this morning I said one man that giveth so many nations sleepless nights, Donald J. Trump. He came this time prepared as a bulldozer to bulldoze anything on its path. You know, I took a look at his official portrait again yesterday, and I looked into his eyes. I took time to study that portrait, and I looked into his eyes, and it gave this energy of, I don't care. I'm going to do what I have to do. I do not care. Okay, Doc. That is looking like me. This guy, what are you saying? But, you know, with what OPEC is saying about the price slash for crude oil and all of that, in summary, do you think this would affect us in any way?
Well, it's good that Donald Trump is dancing on the grave of globalism, and the dance is becoming very interesting right
dancing on the grave of globalism.
So it's getting really very interesting right now. And I think nations should also sit and adjust and look things in their faces. I agree with what Durejai says. We must take politics out of logic. And I think what is important is how to create welfare for the greater population that is living in abject poverty. And the world must be concerned, leaders of government must be concerned. And whatever practical steps need to be taken to reduce poverty in the world. And I think that's how it should be seen, much more than what Donald Trump is doing. Let's bring effectiveness to governance. Let leaders become accountable to their people. And also be empathetic to the plight of the very poor.
All right, thank you so much, Doctor. And your contribution on that particular topic has actually in a way answered my question for the next story. This one is on 4.5 billion naira. FG steps in to fund HIV treatment. Bolojo YN on X says that was swift. No opportunity ever missed for Ijewuru. What's Ijewuru? So why collect US aid when you can easily provide for the welfare of citizens? Same goes for all the loans and other benefits being stolen. And Wisdom says, it appears Donald Trump has suddenly woken leaders of nations to their abandoned responsibilities. And King of Retweets says, this is better. Nigeria should not be receiving grants from any country. Perform your governance, transactions, and partnership based on mutual respect, he says. And that's where we'll draw the curtain on the segment of Post and Perspective. It's been a wonderful conversation with you all on set. And to my audience, thank you for joining us. And that will be all for today from this part of the studio. It will make a return tomorrow. Until then, have yourself a good day. My name is Evelyn Ohio. And of course, it's back to prayer, Doc, and blessing. We value your voice and perspectives. We are passionate about building a social media community that's inclusive, engaging, and meaningful. Every thought, every post, every perspective counts. And this is why you should not miss Posts and Perspectives every weekday on Soup News Television. You can join the conversation by following us on our social media platforms at Soup News TV. Together, we can build a vibrant online community. Do not be left out.